Super Bowl 59 preview. So just a little recap of the storylines coming in. The rematch of Super Bowl 57. Kansas City won it 38-35. Eagles held a 24-14 halftime lead. Chiefs took a 35-27 fourth quarter lead after 2 touchdowns. Hurts and a 2-point play tied it for the Eagles, and then Chiefs took the clock down, kicked a Butker field goal with the clock close to expiring. They defended the Hail Mary, and that's the Chiefs and Mahomes' second Super Bowl, the first of this little run. And they are on a quest to three-peat, and they would be the first ever three-peat, and they are the 9th team to attempt it. First one to get all the way to the game, though, which is pretty cool. Green Bay won Super Bowls 1 and 2, missed the playoffs with Lombardi leaving. Miami, perfect season, went to the Super Bowl before, lost, then a perfect season, won, then won another Super Bowl, and then lost to the Raiders, I believe, who lost to the Steelers. And the Steelers won 2 separate back-to-backs in the 70s, so they had 2 opportunities to three-peat and came up short in both of them. San Francisco in the 80s with Montana. Cowboys in the 90s with Jimmy. Denver Broncos in the 2000s. This one's for John. And then he retired after the second one. And then New England Patriots, who you would have thought they would have had multiple opportunities, almost like the Steelers, but there were some times where they went to a couple Super Bowls in a row, lost one, won a couple, and then didn't go for a while, lost one, lost again, and then came back and won something. So Patriots only had the one opportunity to do the three-peat. Chiefs are the 9th team to attempt it. Chiefs are chasing that Patriot dynasty. Mahomes chasing Brady. Reed against his former team, and also chasing Belichick. And Reed making his 6th Super Bowl appearance, tying Don Shula for the second most, only behind Belichick, who has 9. And Mahomes ties John Elway for second with 5 appearances in Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. So if he gets to the next one, he will break that tie with John Elway and only be chasing Brady. It's the 11th Super Bowl in New Orleans, first since that Beyonce blackout game, and everybody's talking about the safety of the city, which is outstanding after the attack on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day of this year. And in that Beyonce Super Bowl 2013, back in the day there, the blackout game, Ravens beat the Niners in the Harbaugh Bowl. So all that sets up the Super Bowl 59 preview. We'll start with the path to this Super Bowl in New Orleans. Kansas City went 15-2 in the regular season. Losses to the Bills, and then a meaningless loss to Denver when they already had the number 1 overall seed locked up. That was a Week 18 loss to the Denver Broncos. They beat the Texans in the divisional round, and then beat the Bills at home in the AFC title game. 7th Super Bowl appearance for the Kansas City Chiefs, 4-2 record, vying for their 3rd in a row, 4th in the Mahomes-Reed era. The Eagles were 14-3 in the regular season. They started 2-2. I told you I was concerned about them, but give them credit. They're in the big game. The losses were to Atlanta and Tampa, and then later in the season, they lost to Washington and Jaden Daniels. So it's their 5th appearance in the Super Bowl as a franchise, a 1-3 record. Sirianni with 0-1. It's the team in white, 16-4 in the last 20. Kansas City's wearing white. Eagles wear green. Kansas City 1-1 wearing white in these Super Bowls. And I alluded to Nick Sirianni and Andy Reid before. It is Reid versus Sirianni, the head coaching battle. You know I don't like Sirianni. If I see Big Dom again, I'm going to throw up. I swear to God. How is he the second guy off the plane? Please tell me you guys saw that. I'm not crazy. He's in every shot. How is he in the camera every time? I'm sorry. You're Italian. You should like Big Dom, please. Please, okay? So I don't like Sirianni, you know that. I have to give him credit. He's done well managing a lot of personalities in that locker room. He's let his coordinators do their things with their teams, with their respective units. And he's done a good job being like a CEO of the team. Give him credit. Now, Andy Reid, who I forever knocked in Philadelphia when he came to Kansas City, I was like, oh, more of the same. Here comes Andy Reid. You know, look at that game they blew to Indy. I mean, it was a great comeback with Andrew Luck. But Alex Smith and the Chiefs had him on the ropes in Indy. They should have beat him. And the Colts come back with Andrew Luck, an unbelievable comeback. But Andy Reid has completely flipped that narrative. He was, he'd win the big game in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. And a lot of times he would lose that game. But he would lose in the Super Bowl. Until he gets to Kansas City and he gets Mahomes. And that marriage has been very, very successful, as we know. So I'm taking Reid in the coaching matchup, of course. So let's get into the offenses versus the defenses. Chiefs ball, that Reid, Nagy, Chiefs offense, the rankings not great statistically. Overall 16th, 22nd rushing offense, 14th passing offense, 15th in scoring, going up against a Vic Fangio-led defense who is first overall, 10th in the rush, first in against passing defenses, and second in scoring. So it's a very strong defense, and it's a great turnaround because the defense was a big issue for that team last year. Mahomes, his worst statistical year of his career. Yet he has not thrown a pick since that Bills loss in Week 11. We know the scrambles. I'll talk about it a bunch. But in the run game, Pacheco and Hunt, it seems like who's ever got the hot hand in the first quarter gets the opportunity to close out the game late if they're winning. But there is a bit of rotation there. And P. Ryan is the back on really third downs to pick up the blitzes in the pass protection and also in the screen game and in the little short reception game for third downs. Now, Kelce is the number one target. Are there games where he gets neutralized? For sure, but the Chiefs have also done a great job of winning those games and say, okay, you want to take away that guy? We got other options now. And those other options include the rookie Worthy, who is the speedster, who I heard Gruden on the Barstool show previously talking about he thought Worthy was going to be the deep vertical threat that Deshaun Jackson was for Andy Reid's Eagles for this Chiefs team, and he's not. And it's a lot of line of scrimmage passing game, which is very interesting. So Worthy, the speedster, but it's more about catch and run with this Chiefs offense. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the more physical catchers of a football I think that we've ever seen in this league, in the history of this league. So he's a great option. Gray and Watson are these kind of hybrid tight end receivers that slot in behind Kelce that you have to cover them because they have good hands and they can make you miss after the after the catch. Hollywood Brown, the vertical depth receiver that they thought they were going to get in Worthy that people thought, and Gruden and I mentioned, but it's Hollywood Brown, and he's come back, and he can burn you. Smith-Schuster had a pretty big game for catch and run receptions against the Bills. Sky Moore is even doubtful after being on the IR. So there's a lot of variables on that Chief offense. They're skill position players. Some of them can do the same things as each other, but a lot of them do one thing really, really great. And though they might not have, like DeAndre Hopkins, is he the prime of his career? No, absolutely not. Worthy is a rookie. He's still got to learn a lot. Kelce's a little banged up maybe at the end of his career. So is he the quickest still? No, he's not. And a lot of these guys are on second chances or coming off injuries, and they're making plays and proving it. So it's a lot of great skill with Mahomes, and more so than him being like, I got to make a no-look throw to make this. Just get the ball out of my hands and make a play. So those are the skill positions, the O-line. Thuney went from inside to outside, and he's done a really good job at left tackle. Caliendo at left guard. Humphrey's been very good at center since they brought him in draft. Smith at right guard. Taylor's given up the most sacks of the bunch, and it's a unit that has taken a lot of sacks, but in the postseason, they've done relatively well. 3 in the divisional win over the Texans, and only 2 over in the win against the Bills in the AFC title game. And Mahomes this year wasn't great first pressure. A lot of scrimmage passing game, a lot of line of scrimmage passing game, not a ton of the deep shots. And how about this for a statistic? And you talk about Kansas City offense. The win against Buffalo in the AFC title game was the first time they scored 30 all year. All year. the win over Buffalo in the title game. So when they had to score it, and it's really been the recipe for the Chiefs has been, especially this year, keep it close. The quarterback's going to make a play for us. Hey, our defense might not get a big turnover, but we're going to get off the field in a big spot. Or we're going to hold them to a field goal and not a touchdown. And then our guy's going to win the game for us because we trust him the most in a big spot. So that's been a lot of the formula for that Chiefs offense. Now, the Eagle defense, they've really improved from last year to this year. Give them a ton of credit. The sack numbers in this postseason so far. 2 in the wild card game against the Packers. 5 in the win over the Rams in the divisional round. 3 in the victory over the Commanders in the NFC title game. So not necessarily spectacular. 5 in the Ram game was pretty good, but they only got outshined because they gave up 7. More on that in a little bit when we flip the ball over to the other side. But the Eagle front, Carter, been outstanding. Williams has been good. Davis has been good. Sweat is the edge. How about Brandon Graham is on IR, but he's listed as questionable because he's been practicing. So could the Eagles get a little boost from that veteran if he can give them a couple reps in each half and some passing downs as a rush the passer. So that's the guys up front. Bond, Burks. Burks is in Nakobe Dean's spot after he got hurt. Smith's another edge rusher. But Bond's probably going to take a lot of the Kelsey stuff, so which will be a very interesting matchup. Now, the DBs. Slay, proven DB. Mitchell and DeJean have been really good rookies. Now, Rogers, Maddox, Ringo are the backups, and then the safeties, you got Blankenship and Gardner Johnson, and Brown is the backup there. So those guys are you're going to get some matchups where you might have DeAndre Hopkins on Cooper DeJean, and you got to throw on him. And DeJean's had a nice rookie season, but you got to say, I got a physical receiver against that corner. Give me the physical receiver. And who's covering Worthy? Is it Slay? Because then you're giving me an option with who's ever covering Kelsey, and then who's also covering Hopkins, and maybe a Juju or a Hollywood Brown or a P. Ryan out of the backfield. Because if Bond's on Kelsey and Slay's on Worthy, I'm going to find a matchup if I'm Pat Mahomes across my skill position players versus your DBs and linebackers possibly. So I think it is exploitable. Though the Eagles' defense has had a really, really good season, have they faced this great of an offense in the sense of, AJ, didn't you just say it's Mahomes' worst statistical year and all these numbers aren't great with the Chiefs? Yes, for sure. But that gets thrown all out the window for 60 minutes with the title on the line. You win the Lombardi Trophy if you win this game. Every play has to be played like it's your last. So that's why I personally say, hey, listen, I understand. And even I think maybe we do see some cheap, deep shots in this game that they've held some plays back and looks back. Because they said, hey, we're going to get to a Super Bowl, and we're going to have to show some things that we've not shown this year. And I wouldn't be shocked if Nagy and Reed drew up a ton of new formations and a ton of new plays and a ton of new route combos that they can debut in this Super Bowl. So I'm curious to see that. And I think the Eagles' defense has been very good, as advertised, for sure. There are some matchups that are gettable for the Chiefs. Now, if the Eagles' defense, especially the front, are dictating against the Chiefs' offensive line, well, then a lot of those things get thrown out the window because, yes, some of the deep passing game that I'm predicting or guessing or prognosticating that the Chiefs might open it up a little bit in this game because they haven't shown it all year. Possibly, but if you can't block for Mahomes, you can't get receivers downfield. So they'll revert back to the line of scrimmage passing game, which I wouldn't be shocked if they just do from the beginning. So I think there's a lot here where the Chiefs can get some matchups if they can block that Eagle front. Because, yes, if you blitz Mahomes historically, he kills you. But if somewhat like the Brady stuff, if you can get home with 4 and drop 7 and bracket Kelsey and put a guy over either Hopkins or Worthy or put an extra rover in the middle of the field or put a spy in there against Mahomes, you might have some success there. So if the Eagle front with Carter, Williams, Sweat, if Graham gets some reps, Smith on the other edge, They have to get home when whoever the combination of the four is. If they can get home to Mahomes, if they can get and disrupt the rhythm of the play, it's pretty simple. I mean, when you talk about the big games, guys, it boils down to a lot of little things. And forever, what did you talk about with Brady? The Giants, forever. We got there with 4. Strahan, OC, we got there with 4. You heard that forever. So, of course, it's successful against the Chiefs. It was successful against the Patriots. It's a dynasty. It's what some things are. They're susceptible to some things. So, Eagle defense, fantastic turnaround. Fangio, as advertised. The young guys on the back end have been very good. I think they will get a little exposed in this Super Bowl. They have not gone against this offensive mind with that quarterback and some of these weapons, in my opinion. So, look at the numbers for this side of the ball. Kansas City on third down is ranked second. Eagles are ranked third. That's a gigantic matchup in this game. Chiefs in manageable third downs against an Eagle team that has done a really good job in getting off the field. Now in the postseason, Chiefs just under 50%, 9 out of 20. 2 of 3 on fourth. Eagle defense has given up 20 conversions on 46 attempts for 43%, and they've given up 6 out of 10 on fourth down. So they've gotten off the field 4 times on fourth down, but they've also given up 6 conversions. Red zone numbers, Chiefs not a great year in the red zone. 22nd against an Eagle defense that was tied 5th. In the postseason, Chiefs had 11 trips, 6 touchdowns, 4 field goals, and a kneel down, so kind of 10. Eagles defense has given up 10 trips, conceded 4 touchdowns, 4 field goals, a missed field goal, and then also they got a turnover on downs. The turnover story on this side of the ball. Mahomes' fumble against the Bills was the only turnover in the last 9 games for the Chiefs offense. +6 in the regular season as a team. Eagles defense has been outstanding forcing turnovers in this postseason. 6 fumbles, 4 picks. Now, a couple of those fumbles and picks, okay, fine. But they still got them. +11 regular season. A very good year. Eagles ball, the story there. Kellen Moore's Eagles offense, 8th overall, 2nd in rushing, 29th in pass, 7th in scoring, 1st in rush attempts, last in pass attempts. Going up against that Spags defense for KC, 9th overall, 8th in rushing, 18th in the pass, 4th in scoring. Jalen Hurts. Before last week, he was 6 out of 7 under 180. So he went over 180, so it's 6 out of his last 8 under 180 yards passing. Barkley has had 100+ in 9 out of the last 10. Gainwell is banged up, but he will be the spell back. It's really 3 guys he throws to if he's throwing to anybody besides Barkley or Gainwell: Goddard, Brown, or Smith. Smith has been so efficient in this postseason. 4 targets, 4 catches in back-to-back games. A.J. Brown, quiet in some games, very effective in other games. Goddard's been very good, really his whole Eagle career. Give him credit at the tight end position following Zach Ertz. And then Dotson is the 3rd receiver. Arguably the best line in football. Mailata, Dickerson, Juergens, Becton, and Johnson. Dickerson and Juergens are healthy. They've been full practices, I believe, all week for the Eagles. It's a team that can give up sacks. 2 in the win over the Packers, so good job there. But 7 to the Rams pass rush. Verse was unbelievable in that game, but they still won the game, the Eagles. And then better again in the win over the Commanders, only conceding 2 sacks. Chiefs defense, 8 sacks of C.J. Stroud in the win over the Texans. 2 more of Josh Allen and the Bills. Well, Allen gets out of the pocket. To be fair, he doesn't really get sacked a ton. Good against the run. 2nd in the rush defense against running backs, but they gave up 4 and change a rush to a quarterback. And they did not blitz as much versus Allen as they usually do. So could that be a sign of what they do in this game, or do they blitz more because they thought Allen's arm could hurt them more than Jalen Hurts? The Chief defense up front. Wharton and Jones play inside, but Jones goes outside in passing situations a lot of times. Karlaftis and Dana also outside, and Amenahu is the depth on the edge. The linebackers, Tranquil, Bolton, and Chanel. And then the back end, McDuffie has been really good. He might follow Brown around. He has followed a lot of the top receivers around. Do they switch it up depending on the situation? I wonder if he's locked in on A.J. Brown. That's something to keep an eye on. Connor, Watson, the other corners, and then Johnson Williams are the extra corners. Reed and Cook are the safeties. I'm going to talk about the shove play in a little bit at the end before I get my pick. But this Eagle offense, if they run the football effectively, they stay on the field, and then they get into the red zone, and then they get a goal to go, and then they just punch it in. So you have to get them off the field early in drives. You have to be in third and long, or at least third and medium. And if they run, you know they're probably going to go for it. So get ready for the shove. Okay? So get ready for the shove, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The Eagles, no, I'm not going to knock them as much as, maybe I would knock the Ravens, as if you get up on them, there's no way they're coming back. They can't throw themselves back in the game. Eagles might be able to throw themselves back in the game a little bit, but I would force Hurts to beat me here. Barkley has been outstanding in the regular season, in the postseason. He's hitting home runs, his explosiveness, the big playability. He takes a toss crack 60 yards on the opening play for scrimmage from their offense. Like, please. Okay? There's a toss crack play. There's like 3 Stooges at the line of scrimmage, all right? But that Eagle run game, if the Chiefs can put a somewhat lid on it and put the Eagles in passing situations on 3rd and 5+, 3rd and 6+, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, Chiefs will get off the field. Because they'll either try to get home with the blitz and Spags and force Hurts to get rid of it quickly, and they'll rally to the ball and make a tackle before the sticks. Or he'll chuck the ball downfield, and it might be picked off by a little safety over the top. So Eagles have to be elite on 3rd down. They have to sustain drives. They have to keep and stay ahead of the sticks on 2nd and 3rd down. They got to stay on schedules on offense. Because if they have the ball, then 15 on the other team doesn't. Okay? And that's a big part of this football game. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. 3rd down numbers for the Eagles when they have the ball against that Chief defense. Eagles ranked 10th in the regular season. Chiefs ranked 26th. Again, 3rd down. Big factor. Eagles in the postseason, not great on 3rd down. Only 36%. 13 of 36 in this postseason. 3 of 3 on 4th down, though. Against the Kansas City defense, who is just under 50% in conceded 3rd downs. 15 conversions on 31 attempts for the opposition. 4 of 7 on 4th down. Famously, some of these Allen plays. Red zone, Eagles 15th, so middle of the pack against the Kansas City defense ranked 8th. So again, a thing I talked about. Kansas City doesn't really get a lot of turnovers. They don't turn it over themselves. So how do they stop teams? Well, they stifle them in the red zone. And they do a really good job of making you kick field goals instead of getting into the end zone. And that's going to be a very, very big determining factor in this football game, for sure. Eagles 13 trips, 8 touchdowns, 5 field goals in the postseason. Kansas City has conceded 6 trips, 4 touchdowns, a field goal, and a blocked field goal. So they have not been great in the postseason. Can they be better in the Super Bowl? Turnovers. No defensive turnovers for Kansas City. They were +6 again. And then no offensive turnovers for Philly. They were +11 in the regular season. Special teams. Kansas City. Butker was hurt. He made 5 kicks, 3 of them field goals. A rise of the punter. 25 punts inside the 20. Postseason. 2 punts. 1 touchback, 1 inside the 20. Butker's been good. No missed kicks. Good returns in that Kansas City return game. How about the Eagles? Elliott, not a great season. Missed an extra point. 28 out of 36 field goals. Man, the punter, 20 inside 20, so he's good. Postseason, Elliott's missed kicks again. He's missed 3 extra points, 9 out of 12, and he's missed a field goal. He's 6 out of 7. Man had 11 punts, 4 inside the 20. They gave up the fake punt on defense. He's also had 2 touchbacks. I should make note of that. So the keys outside of third down, red zone turnovers, right? Because I talk about those things, special teams, sudden change as well, right? But the keys outside that. If the Eagles' running game gets going and they are able to go to play action, Chiefs defense could be really in trouble. Eagles 5th in the league in play action efficiency. Kansas City 28th in defending it. They get sucked in by the run action. Passes over the top. Big posts to the middle because the middle linebacker got sucked in on the cover too, right? Right over the top of them. So Eagles, the success in the running game, are they able to turn that into play action success? And that really helps their offense. Because if you have to honor the pass, you can't be in the box against Saquon. So then that 3 to 4 yard run becomes 7 or 8. And then maybe he makes a man miss at that 8 yard mark and it's a home run. So Eagles play action. Saquon, big playability for sure. He's taking toss cracks to the house. He's taking inside zones to the house. Like these are plays where you're like, hey, if we get it blocked up, yeah, we get a nice little chunk play here if the safety runs him down. He's past the safety before the safety even knows what's going on inside zone. Please. Okay? So the Saquon explosive plays. Hurts, to give him credit, he's been relatively good against the blitz. Not great under pressure. So what does that mean? Well, 4 getting home hurt him or affect him, whereas the blitz comes and he gets rid of it quickly. So that's kind of how you figure out that stat, where you're like, well, how's he good against the blitz, but he's not great under pressure? How does that make sense? Well, when the blitz comes, he gets rid of the ball. When he's under pressure, it's because he's held the ball, and 4 get home. So getting rid of it quickly. Similar to what the Chiefs have done a lot when they've had some injuries up front. Get the ball out of Mahomes' hands into the playmaker's hands. Touch on that in a second. But Hurts, good against the blitz, not great under pressure. They got to get rid of it quickly if they're going to throw the ball. The Eagles. Now, I mentioned it previously. The shove play on short yardage and red area. And what gives me a little hope for Kansas City is they just did a really good job against Josh Allen in this shove play. Now, we know the Eagles have done it best and they've done it first and they're the best at it. All this. Well, that was with Kelsey. It is a little bit different now. Now, give Jurgens credit, give Dickerson credit. You know, they've moved around a little bit. But Jurgens has taken over for that Kelsey center position. And he's done a nice job, for sure. The shove play, can Kansas City get it stopped? And how about the Eagles, who have shown a couple of little wrinkles out of that, which is he drops back or it's a toss or, you know, flip play to Saquon or whatever kind of thing. So there are little wrinkles out of that. They showed him a little earlier this season. They haven't shown him since. Something you got to be a little honest about. You can't just sell completely out. You got to be aware of that. So the shove play, short yardage, third downs, fourth downs, of course, and then red area trying to cap off drives. Can that Chief defense be strong in the red area? Force Jake Elliott field goal attempts. And what we've seen from Jake Elliott, he might miss them. You know, I understand it's indoors, but he still might miss them. Now, Chiefs kind of keys. Mahomes magic and the legs. I mentioned it a little earlier, but here's the deep dive on the scrambles. Can he do it maybe more often? Possibly. I've seen people have that take. but I think he's doing it the perfect amount. If it's not there, if it's man, and he's not gonna, he used to force throws because he's like, I got the best arm, I'll fit it in there. I don't care. He says, nope, no spy on me. Early 2nd and 8, give me this first down. Slide, get out of bounds, whatever. It's not just the 3rd and 5s anymore that he takes off. He'll take off on a 2nd down. He'll take off on a 1st down play call. That's a pass to get a 1st down. You know, he's not just scrambling on 1st and 10 for 4 yards. You know, a lot of the times he'll throw that ball away, then try to take a hit or, you know, something happened with him in the field of play. The scrambles are, I can get this 1st down, and not only that, I'm going to get a chunk play here. You know, he doesn't really, not that he doesn't do it unless he has to, but to me, the legs, the plays that he makes with his legs, they're always to get 1st downs. They always seem to be chunk plays. They always seem to give his team a lift when maybe it came after a drop, or maybe there was a sack, or maybe somebody blew a blocking assignment on a run where it could have been a big gain, but instead it's 2nd and 12. And now they send everybody out in the pattern and he takes off running. And it's a 1st down. It's a gain of 15. And you are sitting -2 on a 2nd down, just like that. 1st down, moving the chains again. So the Mahomes magic with the legs, we know with the arm, the situational running, outstanding. Now, who steps up for Kansas City, skill position-wise? Because I alluded to so many weapons. Think about all the people they have that can have an impact on this game with the football in their hands. The 3 backs, Pacheco and Hunt in the run game, Pirine in the passing game, Kelsey, Worthy, Hopkins, Gray, Watson, Brown, Smith-Schuster. Sky Moore is even doubtful after missing a ton of games. So there's so many guys for Kansas City that can step up. And we've seen Kelsey, of course, step up in the big moment. But there's been some games where he's been contained, or he hasn't been the focal point of their offense because maybe they know the defense is taking him away. They say, you can't beat us with somebody else. Fine. So Kelsey, and who else steps up for Kansas City? Or maybe Kelsey is somebody that doesn't go missing or isn't a passenger. I'm not saying that, because even if he doesn't get a ton of catches or get a ton of targets, he's a very good blocker in the run game. And also, what does he do? He takes away, or, you know, he has a lot of attention on him from the DBs and the linebackers. So even if he's not making plays, their eyes are elsewhere on Kelsey when they should be on some other responsibilities because they're worried about Kelsey. So Kelsey and who in this Chiefs passing game, do they open it up? You know, similar to what the Eagles in the shove play. Do they throw the wrinkles in the Super Bowl because they haven't done it in a while? Can this Kansas City team open it up offensively? Will they have the big plays? Because to this point, the Kansas City chunk plays through the passing game have been slant. Worthy beats the corner off the line of scrimmage. Mahomes hits him in the window for the slant. He's past the linebacker, and he runs past one of the safeties, and the other one trips him up. And it's a gain of 32. Or how about a deep in to Smith-Schuster as the zone doesn't pick him up coming across the middle because too many heads are on Kelsey. And that's for 25. You know, a lot of catching. Kelsey over the middle. He catches it for a gain of 8, turns the corner, makes a man miss, and now it's a gain of 18. You know, it isn't the Mahomes chucks it up 80 yards to Tyreek Hill. That's not really their offense anymore. A lot of catch and runs, a lot of, hey, we don't necessarily have the offensive line we might have used to have. So let's not get our guy hit. Let's get it out of his hands. And hell, let's get it in our playmakers' hands quickly before the defense can really get set, before the help can get there, and say Xavier Worthy or Nuke Hopkins or one of these guys makes somebody miss on a wide receiver screen. Guess what? That's 12 yards up the sideline minimum. They make the safety miss, see a touchdown. how many swing patterns have we seen or orbit motions with Xavier Worthy has been really used effectively as a piece in this chess board of an offense for Andy Reid. So some of those keys, then end of the half, start of the second half, and then obviously the end of the game. But that, what do they call it, 8 minutes there? Last four, first four, last four of this first half, first four of the second half. A lot of the time, the team that defers is getting the ball there, can get a score, get the ball at the start of the second half, get a score, and really either come back in the game or put some distance between themselves and the opponent. Coin toss is huge. Always in the Super Bowl for a lot of reasons, but for this one, for sure. You defer what happens there. Watch for the end of the half, start of the second half, and obviously the end of the game. Kansas City wins the game 31-27. I think they get back in the 30s again. I think there's a lot of matchups that the Eagles have to be concerned with when they're defending the Chiefs. And for the Chiefs defense, if they can stop the run, they can absolutely win this game, no problem. If they can contain the run, if they can contain Barkley to, 16 for 75, biggest chunk run, 25 maybe, but it wasn't for a touchdown, they win the game. If they can put a lid on that Eagle rushing offense and say, beat us, Jalen Hurts. And if he beats them, you take your hat off, you shake his hand, and you say, hey, that's a hell of a game. It's a hell of a game, man. I don't think he can beat them consistently with his arm in this big spot. So if the Chiefs can do a really good job, or at least it's just an effective job on that Barkley run game, on that Hurts run game in the read option, I think we're talking about a Chiefs three-peat. So I think the impossible or the unthinkable goes down on Sunday. And it's Sunday evening. They hand the Lombardi to the Chiefs again for a third time in a row. So give me the Chiefs, 31-27 for our Super Bowl 59 preview.